Please give us a warm welcome to our 36th Chief of the AGCRA, Colonel Thigpen. Commandant.
Why did it get all quiet? Because you're waiting on speech? All right, well, maybe there'll be some speech. I don't know about much, but I did bring some comments, but I'll try to keep it short. First of all, good morning to all. If I didn't get a chance to see you when I was trying to get around all the tables, all the groups, all the tight-knit teams that are at their tables, got their team together. How was breakfast? It's college football season, y'all. Y'all need to get fired up. Yeah, I know most of you folks in the room, but if I haven't met you, I hope you get that opportunity. What an honor it is for me to serve as your Commandant and your Chief of Corps. And I say that to say your because we're all on one team. My bright ideas and great ideas go no further than the great team I work with. And I just want to say thanks to them for the last couple of months putting up with me. I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you. I will try not to have a lot of pontification of words, but I first want to say just a warm welcome and thanks to our distinguished guests that are here. Thanks to the members of the National Executive Council and special thanks to the Carolina chapter for hosting, for putting all this on. Our chapter president, I'm fired up. Yeah, that's right. She's going to run the show. To have Colonel Maine here, as well as all the others that are part of the chapter. Thank you so much for what you do to keep our Regimental Association up and running and going. And you support so many causes. Every event we do as AGCRA, they're there to support us. So we really appreciate that. I said when I took over the position, hashtag keep it simple, right? Yeah. I meant that, so I'm going to try to keep these comments simple, to the point, maybe not too long. But there are a few things I think all of us in the room, we can kind of appreciate the challenges we have ahead. And then number one, I'm going to tell you the Corps is doing well, and the Corps is strong. Every week we have 42 Alpha AIT graduations down in the Mighty 369. Get a chance to ruck march back with some of those new soldiers and just kind of experience some times with them. We have brand new second lieutenants going through basic course. We have, all right, we got a few there, just a few. Our captain's coming back for the advanced course, the captain's career course. Our warrant officers that have a long list of the basic course, the advanced course, their ILE, many courses they go through, and just to go ahead and say, our total Army force, the mix of Compo 1, 2, and 3 in all of our courses right now, I would tell you Compo 2 and 3, we have more of them going through the classes, in most classes, than we do Compo 1. So this is a total Army school system, and we need to acknowledge that. I got the opportunity to go down to speak to the Georgia Army National Guard last Saturday in a sustainment forum they were having. Yeah, go Dogs. That's right. Everybody in the room, I think, there was one Alabama fan, everybody else was Georgia fans. But it was a great experience for me because I got an opportunity to listen to some of their things they call challenges, or they said were norms for them. We in the active component would say these are challenges, but they say no, this is everyday operations for us in the National Guard. But it was a really good perspective for me to hear that. And then my comments back to them is we can't do what we need to do now or in the future without the National Guard and the Reserve. It's not a regular Army fight. It is a total Army fight. So I said I'll try to keep it lively and light, so you don't fall asleep after that good breakfast. But it is college football season. Go Tigers.
Roll Tide.
So I see we have a lot of confusion in the room. We'll work on that. But yeah, I'm humbled and honored to sit in the seat as a Commandant. Hopefully over the time that I'm here, we get a chance to meet and I get a chance to maybe make some changes for the good of the Corps. because that is my number one goal. The end state is to make the Corps better and improve my foxhole every day. That's my philosophy. But I'm going to start off with first just talk a little bit about the operational environment, the impacts on the total Army that we have, and that'll kind of set the stage for some of my comments of what I say are priorities that we have, not just at the AG school, but also for the Corps, I think, going forward. Everyone's already heard of the recruiting challenges. Anybody in the room not aware we're having a recruiting and accessions challenges right now? Raise your hand, because if you are, I got a mission for you. It's going to be go recruit somebody and put them in boots. All right, and if you're not ready to accept that, then guess what? You're in the Army, and this is our mission. So we'll start with that. But large-scale combat operations. Everybody tracking that? Everybody figured it out? Know what that means? That let's go thing? Okay, all right. We'll talk about that. How about modernization? Y'all figured out what modernization means? Me either. All right, that's okay. We're going to work on it. How about talent competition? I got a mix. Still a little bit of confusion. Don't worry, I'll convert y'all to Clemson Tiger fans, and I'm gonna try my best to make you think all of those things are very important, and we need to know what they are. We need to understand them, and we need to do a little research and analysis and figure those challenges out, because that's what the Army is wrestling with right now. So me and Mr. Ward kind of sit down. We've been back and forth. How do we set some priorities? Because I would tell you, with all those big things I just mentioned in the new environment and the future environment, start talking about where we're going to be in 2040. That will be here quickly. Some in the room will still be rowing. I don't know, maybe some of us will be wearing coat and ties, I'm not sure, or polos. The Army of the future of 2040. But what I would tell you is those big challenges of things that I kind of mentioned. If we get too focused, keep it simple. If you try to get too complex, if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority, right? So what I've mentioned and I kind of put on a piece of paper is to say here are what I would call the top 3 priorities, at least things I hope to influence while I'm here. Talent development. That nests with the AGCRA strategy. How many of y'all read the AGCRA strategy? All right, that ain't gonna work. How many of y'all read the AGCRA strategy? All right, if you haven't, you got till COB. Go look it up. It's only about 10 pages. Not even that. Six pages. But read the AGCRA strategy. I won't read it to you, and I won't give you all the examples. But when we start talking about talent development, that is what we've been tasked from the AG side to tell us here what do we need to focus on. And I'll get more into that later. And then modernization, and then the last one is connection. Communication was listed on the slide, but connection. And so I'm trying to keep it simple into those 3 things: talent development, modernization, and connection. And they sound very simple when you say them, but they get very complex when you start doing some of that analysis. But our mission is to train, educate, and develop HR professionals. That's our number 1 mission. Now, how we do that in the future is the part that's going to change. We've done a lot of things in the past that are really good. When I was here for the career course, it wasn't that long ago. All right, I know y'all laughing. Sergeant Major had to put that out there when I went to basic training. That always gets a snicker from some people in the room. I wasn't even born yet. I know that, but that's okay. But when I came through the Captain's Career Course, the advanced course, we were doing things a certain way. Things have changed a little bit, and some of that change based on resources, modernization, initiatives. But that's the norm. Okay, that's not the change. Is our classes, we will always look at how do we improve our training model, and then how do we do things a little better. And if you're staying in the Army for a couple days, like Mr. Ward over here, been in here for a couple days, you're going to see the Army go through these cycles of change. So I'm going to mention embrace change here in a minute, but really change is going to happen, right? So the way we train, the way we educate, the way we develop our HR professionals is going to change, but it's based on the environment I kind of mentioned earlier. Recruiting accession challenges. This isn't new. We've had these before. It's an ebb and flow. But I would tell you, one thing that's changed from the Army perspective on recruiting is, we used to say, well, that's the recruiting command, or that's the recruiters, and that's no longer the case. If you look at the challenges we have for those that can serve, those that want to serve, those that we would need to stay, how do we recruit and then retain talent? And there's a lot of competition out there for those good soldiers, or soon-to-be citizens, soon-to-be good soldiers. There's competition for that. When I was down in Georgia, the recruiting battalion commander for the Georgia Army National Guard showed me a picture, and it was a picture of a huge Taco Bell sign, and then it said, "Now hiring, $1,000 bonus, and we'll pay for your college." Now, what does that represent from the recruiting world? That represents competition for someone that's thinking about going to school. Now they're going to go work at Taco Bell instead of being a soldier, right? So it is all of us that are part of that. So that's the change. The change of the future is we are all recruiters, and we all need to get out there and tell our story as to why we joined. 30 plus years later, I'm back here at the great state of South Carolina after many years in the Army, and then that's what I do. Anytime I get an opportunity, I'm going to say, I was here as a young soldier, but I continue to serve, and here's why. And that's probably all it takes sometimes, is gets to plant the seed, because some of our young folks and our families out there, our parents, they don't even understand what the Army does. So that's our mission. But all right, I'm going to move on because I don't want to make it too long, because y'all are starting to nod off back there in the back. I see the eggs are kicking in. Coffee, more coffee. Okay, more coffee. But all of that with the challenges of recruiting tells you that people are still the center of gravity for what we need to do in the future. So taking care of people, in my mind, starts with recruiting the right people and then retaining the right people. Let's go focus and modernization. What it's going to do is it's going to create stress. It's going to create stress on the force. And because of those recruiting and accession challenges, I'm going to say everyone in the Army counts. We're going to have to get a little smaller in structure. We're going to have to make some hard choices with resources. And what I would tell you is that every soldier that we get through the door and every soldier that we train, every one of you is important to the mission, and everyone counts. So get out there, tell your story. The SSI commander just walked in. Sir, good morning. Is taking the lead on some local recruiting initiatives that are going to happen here or in and around Fort Jackson and the Columbia area. We got a meet coming up on the 18th of October, where we're going to have all these high schoolers come out here, and one of my little pastimes or hobbies, they're going to go run around Hilton Field. Just seems like a little track meet or a cross-country event, but all of those high schoolers, those are potential soldiers of the future. And then this is just the start of a larger initiative that's going to keep going. And that's happening across all installations right now, because it is the main effort. Talent development, I could probably talk on talent development and leadership and mentorship and standards and discipline and all the things that kind of tie into that. I could probably talk an hour on that, but I know you don't want to hear it all. So I am just going to stick to what I focus on when I say talent development. Talent development for me is the soldier has given, the Army has given us a soldier. They show up here for school. How do we give them what they need when they walk out the door and they graduate? And that's not just a POI thing. That's the team building. That's the cohesion. That's the networking. That's what you're doing today. This is to me is all part of talent development, because you're talking to each other at the table. You're sharing your I guess I don't want to say Facebook. Half the room probably doesn't use Facebook anymore, but you're YouTubing. You got your TikToking. You got all that connection going on, right? You're sharing videos of each other. Here's what I'm doing. Combing my hair, doing whatever. But I would tell you that's important. That is important for our Corps going forward is that you build teams. You become part of the team. And you're gonna talk to each other years down the road. You know, even after you leave here from your bullet course, your AGCRA course, or warrant officer advanced course, doesn't matter. You're gonna remember that. I still have a picture of my buddy from AIT at Fort Bend Harrison, Indiana. He retired as a Sergeant Major Parnell. You know, how many years ago? Won't do math on that, but you know, I ran into him years later when he was a Sergeant Major, and it was just like instantly, as soon as he walked in the room, I recognized him. That's what you're going to do, and that's part of your development as well. Standards and discipline. You know, everybody kind of says, "Yep, standards." You know, I'm an OCS guy. Standards, no compromise is the motto, and I find that very, very important, because I would tell you, when I say everyone counts and everyone matters, it starts with standards. You need to meet the standards. You need to be ready to go, because everyone's going to have to fill a gap in this let's go world that we're going to be faced with. Modernization. It's more than IPS-A. All right, there you go. That's my one time I'm going to say it. But it's important that we get systems modernized for the future, and we're going to get that done. You know, there's folks out there that are saying, is it going to happen? Yeah, it's going to happen. So you need to make sure you're ready. And when you leave here, if you're a student and you're going back to your units, don't think you're going to show up there and you don't have to worry about that anymore, because guess what? We're going to flip the switch, and you need to get after it. But what I would say is, what's next? Because this isn't the end, and it's not just release for the future. There's multiple systems that are going to change over the next 5 years. So what's next? So we can't just get focused on the 25-meter target. More demanding training environment. Anybody heard me say that? Okay, anybody heard the word rigor in training? Jimmy, get more rigor in training. No? Nobody's interested in more rigor. But more demanding training environment. If we're going to be in a large-scale combat operation in the future, it needs to make us think about how we're training now. Because we can't wait to learn lessons learned and train later. We need to start training now. And I would tell you, our history can give us some indicators of things we need to train on. Scale and scope is going to be an issue in less scope. But you're going to be asked to do a lot of stuff in a very stressful environment. So when we say more demanding training environment, that doesn't mean that we're just going to do more ruck marches and sleep out in the field for 10 to 15 days. Because in my opinion, that's the tactical piece of it, that's part. More academic demanding training environment. Me and Chief Hickman have had conversations. I think the warrant officers are out ahead of us on this, because they are definitely applying more academic rigor, right? But that's something we probably need to take a look at across the board. You know, it's physical, it's mental toughness, it's emotional resilience that we need to work on. It's also leadership and team building. You know, how do you operate when you're in charge? You know, when you're asked to go do things and you have folks that you are responsible for, not just yourself. So we got to look across the board when we say more demanding training environment. We don't need to just focus on doing more ruck marches. But I would tell you there is a tactical piece to that, because over time there's been atrophy on fieldcraft, because we've been used to just getting everything we needed, resourced, go deploy, sit at the fob while you're there, then redeploy back, and then you go through the cycle again. I would tell you there's some things that we've lost touch with. So we're going to look at that as well, but I won't give you all the answers to the test on what we're going to do on modernization, but just to tell you, it's not just systems. It's also structure. My proponent folks in the room? Yeah, I got a little bit of that. Okay, all right, there's going to be some structure changes. But here's the thing. Don't have this fear of everything's going to be cut. The Army's done this before. We get larger, we get smaller, we modernize, and we change our structure in order to get after the capabilities and needs of the future. But I go back to say, if we are going to be smaller, everyone counts, and everyone's got to be more proficient, and everyone's going to need to contribute a little bit more, because the structure is going to get a little smaller, and that may be needed for the next fight. But I won't dwell on force structure. because y'all don't need a proponency discussion, right? But what will the Army look like in 2040? I don't think the Army knows yet, but the Army's making some changes right now. I think the recruiting and accessions challenges that we're having are impacting that. There's going to be some resource constraints, obviously. Every year there seems to be potential CR discussions that happen. But again, don't get nervous. This is the Army. We're resilient, and this is nothing but the circle that we go through. So let's stay focused on our mission, which is train, educate, and develop here at the school. And how do we make our core stronger and have the capabilities we need to support the Army mission in the future? All right. Last one was connection. Remember I mentioned connection? Talent development, modernization, and connection. Communications. Anybody ever heard that one of our biggest challenges in any organization is communicating? Oh, yeah, I can get a big hole on that, right? Whoa. Yeah, I get a big hole on that. My entire Army career, I walked in and they said, what is one of the things that challenges us? Communications. And I'm not talking about the radio comms. I'm talking about talking to each other. I'm talking about communicating across. I'm talking at the lowest level, not necessarily at the top, but communicating from the top down and across, your buddy to your left and your right, instructor to student, Commandant to student, or Commandant to SSI commander, communication. Social media and all the other stuff that's out there, some of that's great, but sometimes you just need to go talk to people. Have you ever got an email and you read it and you thought you had the direction you needed to go and you moved out, and only to find out a couple of days later that you misinterpreted the email and you were going the wrong way? All right, I got some laughs, bigger laughs out there, right? That happens all the time. It's all about effective communication, delivery of the message. But we need to reconnect. COVID hit us back about probably 2 years ago, but that's not an excuse. We got to continue our Army mission. And so we need to reconnect. And this right here is an example of that. I would tell you this is an awesome example of our core getting together, the AGCRA that supports us. How do we connect with each other in this room? How do we connect with the AGCRA and their initiatives and what they're doing? And then how do we connect with the team going forward? And then how do we message that back out to the field? Because it's not about Fort Jackson. It's not about Fort Jackson. It's not about the Pentagon. It's not about HRC, the whole HR enterprise. I would tell you it's about every single S1, every single NCO 42 out there that right now is trying to get their HR mission accomplished. And how do we connect with them? And how do they know they can reach back here at Fort Jackson if they have questions and they need something, that they can just pick up the phone and call or send an email and they get support? That's the connection I'm talking about. So we'll keep working on that. Like I said, that's one of my top 3 priorities. Got to figure it out. I'm not a TikToker. I'm not a tweeter. Okay? I'm not even a Facebooker, I guess. If I need to be, I can, but I would tell you that some of that's going to hit about 2-5% of the population is going to be effective. But what about the other 95%? You got some other folks, maybe they're not the younger generation, maybe not, and they don't communicate on TikTok. Some people like social media, some people don't. But what I'm trying to tell you is that it doesn't matter what platform we use, we got to be able to connect everyone. So how do we do that? That's a very time-intensive kind of priority, right? No? My daughter can sit on YouTube and TikTok all day long and not do anything else. So now she's got 3 assignments that are all due tomorrow that she's trying to get finished today because she spent all day yesterday on TikTok. Okay, that's my 20-year-old. But anyway, all right, I'm sharing too much. I mentioned feedback. I mentioned connecting with the field. There's also feedback from the field. I'm very interested in connecting with them so they can have a venue to send us, tell us how's it going. All the students that are going to graduate, I'm interested in your feedback when you hit the ground. Please let us know. Did we teach you what you needed, or at least give you something in your toolkit to help you in the future? If not, let us know. We're going to try to change, adapt, so that our POI is teaching what it needs to teach. Deliver the HR professionals that have the tools they need to be successful. So that's the connection I'm talking about as well. So it's not just us telling the field, it's the field telling us how we can be better. But we got to communicate that across the entire AG community. Enough said. All right. I know I'm getting long, right? Is my time up? You already said my time's up. All right. So I'm gonna hear it. Yeah, I know. I told you I could talk all day about talent development. It's my #1 mission in life is talent development. How do I do that? I know. I'm getting the hook. But okay, so I'll sum it all. All right. So, right message to the right audience is part of connecting. Again, have you read the AGCRA strategy? Okay, still not good. Okay, you had time there. I caught you on your phones. Already talked about the network. I'll also say AGCRA. Don't forget the network there. That's not just the getting the 1775 or getting the text message or the email of articles. I challenge everyone in the room to write a 1775 article. Whether you're a student, whether you're a cadre, whether you're a permanent party, it doesn't matter. Whether you're a civilian, retiree, it doesn't matter. Contribute to the 1775 article, and let's get all those great thoughts on paper and share it. That's part of connecting too. Everyone needs to get involved in the AGCRA strategy, so read it. You're a part of it. You need to embrace it, embrace the change, live, to I guess professionally develop as part of our core. But that's what's going to make us stronger as a core in the future. All right, takeaways. Right, that's the in the summary of the end of the conversation here, because I'm still getting the sergeant major's looking at me, right? Come on, we got all day to do this, right? All right, here are takeaways. You ready? You don't even have to write this down because you'll remember it, because I know you're paying attention. Everybody paying attention? I know you are. All right, here you go. Tell your Army story. Recruit the future force of the United States Army. Go tell your story. I challenge all of you to recruit somebody. Watch them go off the basic training, stay connected with them, and then years down the road, when they're getting promoted to like first sergeant, sergeant major, they'll send you an invitation and you show up. And then that's when the reward comes back. All right, enough on that. Tell your Army story. Everyone counts. That's everyone serving. That's our civilians. That's our retirees. That's the soldier for life. Everyone out there. Large-scale combat operations is not a myth. Okay, it isn't something we just talk about. The scale and the scope of it is going to impact all of us. We can't do the wave the magic wand of the warfighter. You're not going to be able to do that in the future. Embrace change. Modernization, technology, structure, systems, more demanding training environment. It's all culture shift. Okay, but just embrace it. Trust me, we'll be better on the other side. Acquiring, developing, employing, and retaining talent. That's our people. And that's our strategy, and that's our mission. Read it, you'll understand. How are you investing in the AGCRA? Ask yourself that every day. Are you improving something? Are you improving your foxhole? But how are you contributing to the AGCRA? The challenge. But, hashtag keep it simple. I was trying to stay there. Maybe I got a little off target. But tell your Army story. Build cohesive teams wherever you are. Make an impact through positive leadership. And just inspire others. It's that simple. And the future of the AGCRA is going to be awesome. So, and in the words of Chief Staff of the Army, winning matters, defend and serve.